Fox News host Tucker Carlson peddling blatantly racist statements about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who was born in Somalia. He calls her living proof that U.S. immigration laws are a danger to the country. She's calling him a racist fool. The story tonight from CNN's chief media correspondent, Brian Stelter.
But she isn't grateful, not at all.
A new low for Tucker Carlson?
She hates this country.
The Fox host on an anti-immigration rant, blasting Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
That should worry you.
Saying immigrants like her are, quote, undermining the U.S.
Ilhan Omar is living proof that the way we practice immigration has become dangerous to this country. A system designed to strengthen America is instead undermining it. No country can import large numbers of people who hate it and expect to survive.
Omar hit back, calling Carlson a racist fool.
It's really quite disappointing to see Fox News give a nightly platform to the white supremacist rhetoric that's coming from the likes of him.
Now a new skirmish in the immigration debate.
Make America white again.
With Carlson tapping into a frequent theme on the right, and with his critics accusing him of fearing a powerful woman of color. On Wednesday, reaction to his rant getting a supportive retweet from President Trump. On the other side, progressive activists renewing their calls for advertisers to blacklist Carlson's show.
We don't only welcome immigrants, we send them to Washington.
Omar is both a historic figure, the first Somali American elected to the U.S. Congress, and a lightning rod of controversy, a frequent target of Fox's right-wing shows.
Think about it. Omar wears a hijab. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which in itself is antithetical to the United States Constitution?
Jeanine Pirro was suspended by Fox after that rant. Now, Carlson is invoking Omar's history as a refugee, resettled by the U.S. when she was 12 years old, and now living an American dream.
After everything America has done for Omar and for her family, she hates this country more than ever.
No, Omar responded on Twitter, Carlson is lying. She loves the country and resolves to, quote, make our union more perfect.
It wasn't long before I arrived that I noticed that a lot of America's promise wasn't extended to everyone.
Her critiques of America not living up to its ideals, particularly for people of color, are common and well received on the left, while on the right, people like Carlson react with disgust. It's one of the usual topics on his show. Democrats, he says, want you to believe America is an awful place. This time, Carlson is taking Omar's concerns and making a huge leap, saying immigrants with views like hers are dangerous.
Maybe we're importing people from places whose values are simply antithetical to ours. Who knows what the problem is? But there is a problem.
That rhetoric is being denounced by some on the right as well as the left. Connor Friedersdorf of The Atlantic saying Carlson divides America and betrays core American values. And Omar is saying this.
Truly believe he is a racist fool who is quite weeping about the fact that we have an African-born member of Congress.
Omar's message.
And now he gets to call me a congresswoman. I'm sure pisses him off.
Brian Stelter joins me now. She and AOC really get under his skin, or the folks at Fox.
Yes, as much as the Fox talk shows in primetime are pro-Trump, they're really all about being anti-Democrat. And you see that day to day, especially when it comes to these women of color who are new members of Congress. Look, Omar today said there should be an ad boycott. She said advertisers should not support Carlson's show. Carlson responded by saying, she's trying to shut me up, but Fox has my back. He says, I am not a racist. He says nobody at his show espouses racism. But what he does promote is a form of white identity politics, an attempt to take back time, to go back in time. Of course, that's not going to happen, but that's what he promotes on a daily basis, and he does that by targeting and demonizing people like Ilhan Omar.
Brian Simba, I want to bring in now Wajahat Ali. Wajahat is an op-ed writer for the New York Times. Good evening, sir. You've been following this, I'm sure. You say Carlson's words are white nationalist talking points, and Carlson is helping to mainstream them. Explain that, Wajahat.
Yeah, I mean, if it talks like a white nationalist, if it behaves like a white nationalist, if it tweets like a white nationalist, it's Tucker Carlson. And don't take my word for it. The leading white nationalists in America, Don, for the past 2 years have said that Tucker Carlson is their greatest ally. He's their guy. They say he uses his show to mainstream all of their talking points. That's Andrew Anglin of the Daily Stormer, one of the leading neo-Nazi websites. He said literally that Tucker Carlson's show is literally Daily Stormer television. And so you have to ask yourself, why are the advertisers supporting a man who mainstreams and promotes white supremacist, not even just white nationalist, Don, white supremacist conspiracy theories? Remember last year, he said that the South African white landowners are being oppressed? That was a completely debunked conspiracy theory. Even after it was debunked, guess who promoted it? Tucker Carlson. And he says he's against diversity, right? He says immigrants are polluting the country, making it dirtier. He calls immigrants invaders, repeating a talking point, another white supremacist conspiracy theory that was mainstreamed by Donald Trump. So this is the feature, it's not the bug. And I'm not being radical here in calling him out as a white nationalist. This is who he is. Just look at the words, look at his own clips, and then compare them to the talking points and rhetoric of leading white nationalists.
But at the same time,
exactly
he also says he welcomes immigrants. He just wants them to like America, not hate America. So he's able to employ these rhetorical devices to say, I bring on the immigrants, let's bring in millions of people. But then he attacks immigrants like Omar because he claims she hates America. I don't think he's willing to listen to her actual critiques of American policy and understand where she's coming from.
But Brian, does he believe this, or is this something? Is he just out? Is he selling what people are buying? Which one is worse? Well, I think the second one might be worse.
I think people say Carlson's changed a lot over the years. He was on CNN and MSNBC in the past, espousing a very common form of conservative politics. What we've seen on his show and other shows on Fox in recent years, in the Trump years, is a more extreme version of this rhetoric, anti-immigrant rhetoric. And it's a classic chicken or egg question about whether they're following Trump or Trump's following them.
Don, may I just say this? I think we're giving him a pass because none of us are Ben Carson. We don't know what's in Tucker Carlson's heart. None of us are God. We just judge people based on their actions, their behavior, their rhetoric, right? And so if Tucker Carlson repeatedly shows you who he is for the past 2 years, if it was a one-off, we'd be outraged, but this is who he is consistently. And what he said about Ilhan Omar is she represents people who come from places who have values that are antithetical to us. That is coded language, brown, dark people, Muslims who come from S-hole countries. That was a throwback to Donald Trump. And by the way, let's not forget that Tucker Carlson supported and defended Donald Trump's comments when he said we don't want people coming from S-hole countries. And so I think we in the media, we give Trump and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham a pass. Like, do they really believe this? Or are they just saying it to, rally up their base? Does it really matter, Don? Because the detrimental effect is that it's dividing America. It's increasing racial hatred. And again, it's mainstreaming what was just 4 years ago.
That's why I said the latter part, if he's just selling what people are buying, that's actually worse because then it's disingenuous.
Because he knows better.
Yeah. Ilhan Omar called him a racist fool. She's not backing down, Wajahat. Do you think enough people on both sides of the aisle are standing up against his bigoted rhetoric?
No, there aren't. I mean, Donald Trump retweeted it. Donald Trump in April retweeted a photo of Ilhan Omar next to the burning towers. That got her death threats. Donald Trump retweeted Britain First, an extreme right-wing, anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim group. Remember those 3 tweets he did 2 years ago, those fake videos? And it took him like a year to bring them down. I don't know if he's even brought them down. And look at Ilhan Omar, the West Virginia GOP, on GOP Day in the state capitol, had a huge poster, Don, of Ilhan Omar next to the burning towers. So this has been deliberately promoted by the right-wing media infrastructure, both politicians and media personalities. And what I'll say is this. They are laundering their anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim talking points, and in Tucker Carlson's case, white nationalist talking points, through Ilhan Omar. They're laundering it because they say, oh, look, we're just attacking her and her views. But who is she? A black Muslim woman who wears hijab and is a refugee. She becomes their piñata, and then they can just say, no, you're attacking our free speech. We're just attacking a Democrat who's allegedly progressive and radical. No, it's racist.